Hi, my name is Mandy Greer, and I am going to be presenting to you the warhol.org. This is my second go at this. Hopefully this time I can cut some things out. We can make it a little bit smaller so I can send it to you guys. So here we go. I'm going to start right here with the museum tab. I just want to quickly go in, tell you about the museum, some of its perks, some of the things that it contains. Just a little background for those of you who have never been to the Warhol before. So we're going to click on About, and it's going to bring us here to About the Museum. Scroll that up for you. Just to touch on a few things. A fun fact about the museum is the actual building space was an old manufacturer for products sold to mills and mines, which I thought was very reminiscent of Warhol's factory himself, his studio space. So I think they couldn't have picked a better building for that. The collection at Warhol has over 12,000 pieces of artwork, all of which include 900 paintings, 100 sculptures, 2,000 works on paper, 1,000 unique prints, 4,000 photographs, 60 featured films, 200 screen tests, and about 4,000 videos. So this is quite the collection. The building itself is 7 stories tall. It's a very narrow, tall building space. So it offers quite a bit in the form of Warhol and people that Warhol worked with within these walls here. The collection dates that is shown inside the Warhol ranges from about the 1940s with his commercial illustrations all the way through the 1980s with his The Last Supper. To date, about 8 million people have visited the Warhol, myself included. It was one of my favorite museums. A point of interest, and kind of to give this a little bit of weight to show its importance, it is one of 4 museums in the Pittsburgh area, all within the Carnegie Museums. So there is the Carnegie Museum of Art, the Carnegie Museum of Natural History, the Carnegie Science Center, and the Warhol Museum for Art. So the 4 of them collectively are the powerhouses in Pittsburgh for art and history. Let's go over to, let's visit. Let's see what it says to us about visit. So let's go to hours and admission. We talked a lot about admission and kind of how galleries have to come about making their prices so they can function. They aren't given money from the government, so it's all money that they get from admission and other things. So it looks like the admission is just about spot on with other museums of its caliber. Adults are $20, students with IDs $10, children 3 to 18 is $10. I feel 3 to 18, that's kind of rough. I think anybody under 5, I think they should be free. But that's neither here nor there. I guess that's just my opinion. Moving down to Fridays, this is a really important thing, and this is how I think the Warhol Museum uses ingenuity to create new revenue. Because Fridays is called Good Fridays, and it's a half price day after 5 o'clock. So 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. Is past the normal business hours. It closes at 5. From 5 to 10 is kind of this open experience, more of a social gathering, a social experience. People come. They only have the main lobby open. It's half price to get in. So now you're talking it's $10 to get in for adults. And they have a cash bar, which I really think this is brilliant because people will pay more to cash bar than they would have for their admission. So this is a way for them to create more money to pay for things, keeping the admission price to $20 and not having to go $25 or higher. So I kind of appreciate the creativity in this. Also, you can see that the Marriott is a sponsor, so I'm sure they're getting money from that. So there are ways to keep the cost down for us. Other quick ways to get in with a discount is AAA members get $1 off. Kind of think that's a joke at that point. Keep your $1, like that's not a real discount to me. There is an ACES Access and EBT. They get $1 admission for up to 4 people. Now that I think is a deal. That I think is worth it. 4 people can come for $4 if you're part of that group. I think that's amazing. That whole idea is funded by a grant from an investment firm, so somebody is paying the extra, it just isn't us. And they also offer 50% off military, and I do think 50% military, that's good. That's a good deal for our military men and women. All right, let's cruise on up to the top to what's on. Let's go to the calendar. Right here in the calendar section, it says this week at Warhol. What's really nice is it's going to break down what's going on for you during the week, who is going to be there, what gallery talks are happening. Good Fridays is always advertised right off the bat, letting you know it's a special event, what time it starts. Looks like Wednesdays and Tuesdays and Thursdays and Fridays are gallery talks. So it kind of goes through, gives you a little blurb on what the gallery talk will be at this time. The one coming up looks like it's with Halston and Warhol, the silver and suede. So this is the one right here that's kind of being shown right now, and the most is being talked about. It's fashion design for the 20th century. I think that would be a pretty interesting one to see. Also, things that they might offer. We have programs for the public. And at the programs for the public, we have lectures, we have panel discussions. They offer a million youth programs, which I'll touch on in a little bit. I think they do a great job with the youth. And gallery talks, like we had mentioned before. So going on has, quite a bit for if you want to take the time to invest in it. Moving over to collection, let's go to art collection. Right here, this is the website I use with my kids, is the online galleries. I showed this picture here. We do a printmaking lesson ourselves with a 5x7 black linoleum print. And so that is very, very small. And at my school, all I had was black ink and the linoleum. So we were only able to print very, very, very simply. So I like this particular image because of the benches. The benches give a sense of scale here, so they can kind of get the whole scope of how large these are. I have 2 bulletin boards about these sizes in my room, so I try to get them to think that's how big the print can be. So I appreciate this photo here to kind of make it a little more real for my kids who have never seen a Warhol or have never done printmaking. The next thing I like to go to with my kids, this is my high school kids I've been working with for this part here, is the online galleries. So right here lists the work, early work, self-portraits, and artist perspectives. So in this section, in particular, I'd have my students dive into work. Right here it kind of tells you the highlights of the collection, including some of the student works from Warhol's early years of college. So I kind of have them read through this, and we click on over here, the actual image, and all these different Warhols come up. And this is what I have my students do. I have them broke off in groups to begin with. Within their group, they're each selecting a piece of art that they're going to then turn around and present to the class. That way we get a really good overview of everything without having to spend time on each of us talking about each single one. One student teaches the class, I make them my student expert, and they have to know about the process, about the material, the content, when it was made, kind of the whole 9 yards. So they go through, they select which ones they like. It's really cool for my boys. I have a high population of boys in my class, and they all really love the Death and Disaster or the Electric Chair series, which for me is kind of neat because most of my teachings and learnings for Warhol sticks to more of the soup cans or Marilyn Monroe. So it's kind of nice to kind of dive into something just a little darker. Kids really seem to get into it. Let's skip over to education. All right, so in this education tab, this is where we're going to see most of our youth programs. So right here, the education tab,